Rain falls against the leaded glass of Windsor Castle. A single, unopened letter lies on a carved oak desk. The room is silent, heavy with things unsaid. A brother under fire, a king without words, and a silence echoing louder than any royal decree. Before we dive in, there's something I need to share with you. Over the past few days, thousands have watched these stories unfold, but most haven't subscribed. If you're one of them, I invite you now to join us. Subscribe to Crownverse so you never miss the next chapter in this unfolding royal history. In a monarchy built on ritual and legacy, silence has long been a tool. It shields, it conceals, it defers judgment. But when whispers grow into echoes, silence becomes part of the story itself. Now, amid the resurfaced shadow of a 2011 email allegedly from Prince Andrew to Jeffrey Epstein, the focus turns upward, not to the Duke, but to King Charles. What will the monarch do when the affair of a brother becomes a test of his reign? We begin with context. The British monarchy is no stranger to scandal. From abdications to divorces, the crown has endured by absorbing rupture and projecting continuity. Yet each affair invests the institution with fresh fragility, because the monarchy depends on consent as much as authority. In 2019, Prince Andrew's BBC interview sought to close the chapter on his connection to Epstein. He claimed to have cut ties in 2010, denied wrongdoing, and professed regret. But the public reaction was harsh. He was stripped of his official roles. He retreated into the shadows. He became, in many eyes, a liability. Then comes the 2025 court filings. In October, several media outlets reported that among court filings emerged the text of a 2011 email allegedly sent by Andrew to Epstein, stating, "We're in this together. We'll play some more soon." The phrasing is intimate and stark. Its implications are grave because it contradicts timelines Andrew upheld publicly. The email, first reported by The Guardian and referenced by ABC News Australia, introduces a new fracture in the narrative. It suggests continued closeness at a time Andrew claimed to have already broken ties. The palace issues no comment. King Charles says nothing. The silence deepens. Meanwhile, in corridors of power and press rooms, speculation mounts. The king's inaction becomes itself a statement. To understand what is at stake, we must examine his options and their limits. What can Charles do? What would it mean for monarchy, for family, for legacy? His first possible move: remove Andrew's dukedom. Yet legally, peerages are conferred and revoked only by Parliament. The monarch cannot unilaterally strip the title. That means Charles does not hold the sword to cut Andrew out entirely. The crown may advise, but the authority lies elsewhere. Second, Charles could anticipate denying Andrew access to royal events, excluding him from Sandringham at Christmas, for example. Some reports, notably in People magazine, suggest that such exclusion may already be happening behind closed doors. But no confirmation emerges from Buckingham Palace. It remains unverified, speculative. Third, he could remove any remaining honors or symbolic privileges. In 2022, Queen Elizabeth II removed Andrew's patronages and military titles. What remains is largely ceremonial, but symbolism carries weight in royalty. To snip the last threads would be to sever not just person, but lineage in perception. A fourth, more dramatic option: a public statement. The king could break silence, acknowledging the scandal and condemning it, or perhaps expressing regret. That would be the most forceful gesture, but also the riskiest. It carries potential constitutional consequence, invites scrutiny, and forces every royal behind and beside him to declare a stance. It would turn private crisis into public reckoning. Every move is a balance between duty and blood, between tradition and change. Charles has long spoken of a leaner monarchy, one where only active royals carry the burden of public life. Yet Andrew is not a distant cousin, he is a brother. Their shared childhood, shared loss, and shared place in the royal bloodline complicate every decision. We trace through timeline and implication. Stage 1. The email emerges. The moment the court filings go public, press coverage intensifies. Headlines run, "Prince Andrew told Epstein, we're in this together." Analysts dissect phrasing, timing, signature. Royal commentators question whether Andrew's public narrative is undermined. Some suggest Charles is now forced to act. Stage 2. Reaction ripples outward. Newspapers opine, columnists urge consequences. The public, long weary of royal privilege, calls for accountability. Institutions once allied with Andrew, charities, foundations, distance themselves. In parallel, Sarah Ferguson becomes a focal point. Reuters reported a separate 2011 email in which she apparently referred to Epstein as a supreme friend. Charities sever ties. Ferguson's spokesperson claims the email was sent under legal advice and its authenticity remains contested. Whether true or not, the optics worsen. Stage 3. Strategic inertia. The palace continues no public acknowledgement. Charles stays silent. His silence becomes his policy. Behind closed doors, discussions proceed. Councillors, court officials, palace aides, advisors weigh legal viability, public reaction, family fallout. How much damage is already irreversible? What price will be paid by reputation? At the midpoint emerges a confrontation, not in public squares, but in private rooms. Charles must decide: protect his brother, protect the monarchy, or risk both. A symbolic turning point. Charles at Balmoral, reviewing correspondence. A photograph of two young princes, smiling and innocent, sits unsmiling behind glass. He studies the email. He weighs precedent. He knows that any decision will be read as both judgment on Andrew and as prophecy for his own reign. He may conclude Andrew must step back entirely, or he may conclude public statement is unwise. The crown cannot survive this exposure. He may choose the minimal path, continue silence, hoping the scandal fades. Each path carries consequence. In the public realm, reactions intensify. Media speculate on Christmas arrangements. Will Andrew be invited to Sandringham? Will he appear at state occasions? Will he retain any royal functions? Public polls measure trust in Charles's reign. Editorials question whether silence equals complicity. Voices in government, though cautious, consider whether the monarchy's legitimacy now hinges on action, not acquiescence. In one notable public development, Newsweek and The Times report that pressure is building on Charles, not just externally, but internally, from aides, former officials, and even former members of the royal household. The email's emergence is no longer just Andrew's issue, it is now a crisis for Charles's authority. Yet the palace holds firm. No denial, no confirmation, no promise of future action. Silence persists as a vigil. Now, imagine the closing scene. The castle at dusk, towers softened in twilight. The Union Jack flies at half-mast in public ceremonies. Inside, staffers light candles in hallways. Behind closed doors, choices are made. The air is hushed. The crown has waited before. It has endured betrayal, abdication, war, scandal, yet always it emerged intact, reshaped but still sovereign. Now it faces another turning point. The question is no longer whether Andrew is guilty or innocent. That is legal ground. The question is whether the king will answer with words, gestures, or continued silence, and whether that answer will preserve or unravel the fragile legitimacy of monarchy in the modern age. The letter lies unopened. The storm still rages outside. Silence remains, but storms end, stray papers settle, and after silence, history speaks. What does King Charles choose to protect, his brother or the crown itself? If you enjoyed this journey into the hidden world of the crown, don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us here on Crownverse, where crown history lives on.